Hi, Tom. How are things?
How are you, William? How's things?
Good now. Good. Um, what I suppose you've tried to move on from Friday night, but what lessons do you think have to be taken out of that? Because Connacht had a real chance in that game late in the game, that line out on the 5 meter line, and then it really got messy after that for you.
Yeah, I think you summed it up there. I think it's definitely an opportunity missed from us, from our point of view. We put ourselves in a real good position. They lost their two tens early in the game, and we always knew it was going to be tough going away to Cardiff. It always is. I think Friendly said to you last week we've only won there twice in the last 10 years, and it's probably the best position we've put ourselves in there in the last couple of years. We had that line on 5 meters out with 15 to go ahead, and unfortunately that didn't go to plan, and then a few lapses in discipline, and we lose two players, and you're never really going to close out the game with 13 men against 15. So it's just like little things like discipline and maybe just that lapse of concentration at the lineup. We just need to really learn from that and improve. And big opportunity this week back at home in the sports ground against the Bulls, and we know what sort of challenge we're going to face with them. So it's definitely a different challenge to Cardiff, but like we're looking forward to it.
Were you surprised that the discipline went a bit? That's something that Connacht usually don't have an issue with.
Yeah, well, it's particularly Jack's one. I was surprised it was a yellow card. Maybe a penalty at most, in my opinion. But listen, you can't blame things like that, and you have to play with what's given to you. So yeah, like it was a surprise. 15 minutes to go down to 13 men. It's not exactly ideal and what you want, but listen, we'll learn from it, and discipline has been harped on all week. So hopefully we'll improve in that area.
The new system, trying to play a faster game. There was a few offloads, some worked, some didn't. Is that just a bedding in thing, that it takes time and you've got to make sure that you don't get frustrated if it goes wrong? You've just got to keep sticking to the system.
Yeah, I think so. And I wouldn't say offloads are particularly the massive part of the way we want to play and play fast, but you did see some glimpses of nice, like, free flowing fast rugby at the weekend, and I think we look back at them this week and there was a lot of stuff that we were happy with, particularly in that first half. We put them under a lot of pressure, but yeah, then coming into this week now, playing against the South African, a big side, I suppose even more so we'll be focusing on that fast rugby, try to move that pack around. And we saw against Leinster, I know the scoreline was a bit one-sided in the end, but they did cause Leinster some trouble, and they're definitely big physical men, and their back row in particular will cause trouble. So I think this is like the perfect game for us to show hopefully that new game plan, and play a fast brand of rugby and play on top of them and just play at a quicker pace than hopefully they're ever used to. So that's probably the plan going into this week.
Do you think you might have a fitness advantage on them, although they've now had a good warm-up game despite the result?
I'm not sure. We've worked very hard over the preseason. They're probably bigger men, man for man. I'm sure they have a few kilos on us, so I'm sure that helps when you're coming into the later parts of the half. You're always going to have that little bit more energy, hopefully. So hopefully we'll see that on Friday night. As I said, the fast game, and yeah, hopefully they'll tire quicker than us.
And you'll have a load of very noisy spectators behind you, which it's the first competitive game with a decent number of people in there. That might be a bit of a help.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, really looking forward to that. Even playing last week, I know we were away to Cardiff, and they had a bigger crowd than I've ever played in front of over in the Arms Park. And you can just see what sort of effect it has on the game, and I don't know, some decisions, and they get behind when they do something well and the crowd gets behind them. It's definitely a lift. So we're looking forward to having a few thousand Connacht fans back in the stadium this weekend, and it'll definitely give us the lift that we need. So no, really looking forward to that, and should be good to get as many as we can in the sports ground. Yeah.
And help the referee make the right decision, which is the Cardiff fans were pretty volatile. Finally, just to look at the Bulls, I know they're big, and you can focus on that completely, but you'll have looked at them. They must have some slightly different skill sets to that as well. I mean, they're pretty decent side when they're flying.
Oh, definitely, yeah. You just look there. Obviously, we know all about Marcel Coetzee from his time at Ulster, and especially Goosen at 10. He looked very dangerous on the weekend against Leinster, and then even looking back to the Curry Cup, his kicking game is really strong. he'll kick the ball a mile. So then again, discipline has to be on point, because any penalties within 50 or 60 meters, he's going to have a go at them, and there's always going to be a wind at the sports ground. So if that's behind his back, I'm sure he'll fancy himself from distance. So their back three as well, really dangerous. Springboks littered throughout the team. So listen, of course they're big men and they're strong, but they're well able to play rugby and well able to offload and play a wide game. So they have threats all over the park, and I don't want to stereotype them into saying they're just big massive ball carriers in maul and scrum, but they're well able to play rugby as well, with some really good halfbacks directing the play. So it's definitely a formidable challenge, but one we're looking forward to here.
Well, we're looking forward to it as well. Good luck on Friday evening, and we'll talk again soon. That's me out.
Cheers,
Thank you. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks.
Dave, do you want to go ahead there? Dave, if you're not there, is there anyone else for live, or are we going to embargo? Okay, we'll go into embargo section. This is for tomorrow morning, and we'll open the floor.
Tom, how are you doing? John Fallon here. Just one quick one. The new laws, particularly the 50-22, looks like it was designed for somebody like you with the big boot on you. Is it something you actually have practiced? We haven't seen much of it in the opening round. There's a lot of it tried in the English Premiership, but very little in the URC so far.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's something we definitely talked about in practice and training, yeah. But I think the other side of it is defenses know that's going to be coming from attack, so they're maybe playing two in the backfield, whereas before they might have just had the fullback covering the whole backfield, whereas now they might be dropping a wing and a fullback and playing two there and covering the space, because they know the effect that if the kicker can nail that kick, it's such a big advantage to get your own line out in the 22. So like we look at it, there will be opportunities. I'm sure there will be loads throughout the year, but you can definitely see defenses are kind of changing to cover that. Even ourselves, like we've spoke about how we're going to defend set pieces and midfield scrums, and like areas where it might be an opportunity to do it, we'll defend them a little bit differently than we did last year. So it kind of just has to, I suppose, if the moment pops up, the player has to be smart enough to see the space, and it's not going to present itself a lot because defenses are so tuned into it. So yeah, I'd like to think that the rule does suit me, and maybe playing off second hands, if you go through the 10 to a centre, maybe that might bring the backfield up a little bit, stuff like that. So we'll keep an eye out for it, but as of now, defenses have been pretty alert to it.
And defensively, is that the job in your case of the wingers, or is it G in the central?
No, it'll be the backfield, so it'll be like wingers, fullback, and even 10s and stuff who are back there. So it's just a little bit different than it used to be now, because it's such a reward for the kicker. I'm sure all teams are talking about it and looking to defend it a bit more.
And with the wind in the sports round, it could be an 80-22.
yeah. Hopefully we'll see one on Friday night.
Best of luck Friday. Cheers,
Tom.
Hi Tom, Neil here in RTE. I just want to ask you a bit about your own game. So like you got your first taste of the international 15s game during the summer. Unfortunately, you didn't get to make the debut itself, but what was that like, just being involved in Andy Farrell's camp over the summer?
Like it was a dream come true. Probably a dream I've had since I was a child, and it was good for it to eventually become reality. It probably took a bit longer than I would have liked, and a bit longer than a lot of other players in the country. But no, just to be there, it was class. It was something I was like coming towards the end of the season. It was something that like maybe was on my mind a little bit. I knew I would have been close enough to making the squad because I had that good year, and eventually when I did get that email through, it was I was absolutely delighted. And the 2 weeks in there were class. I learned loads. Definitely a higher standard than I've ever trained and played at before. Things just happened that little bit faster. Training's that just a little bit more intense, and I was disappointed not to get the cap in one of the games, but had a good chat with Faz, and he said, there's 6 games in this new URC before the November squad is picked. So just put my best foot forward for Connacht, and hopefully that might lead to inclusion in the November series. But I'm just focused on playing for Connacht now and playing well and getting wins on the board with Connacht and putting my best foot forward.
And what are the marks you think you need to hit if you want to get back into the wider training squad for the autumn internationals, and then the second part obviously is to take that next step on and get onto the pitch?
Yeah, I just suppose starting regularly for Connacht again, same as last year, and putting in some big performances. And I think just consistency, backing up big performance with another big performance, and just bringing. I'd like to think I bring a lot of energy both sides of the ball, and just continue to do that. And then maybe, as John asked me earlier, that kicking game is probably something different that I'd have on other centres in Ireland, and probably try to use that throughout games as well. So just little bits like that you have to kind of play to your strengths and show your uniqueness, because it's obviously a pretty stacked position in Ireland, and there's plenty of lads banging on the door to get in there. So yeah, listen, just put my best foot forward at Connacht, and if that leads to more international camps, that'd be brilliant. And if not, I'll just keep working hard here and try to play well for Connacht.
And last one for me, you mentioned how much you learned over the course of those couple of weeks as well. What were the eye-opening things in those couple of weeks where you maybe realised where your game was and where it needs to be?
I definitely learned a lot defensively, setting up off set piece. I learned a lot off the likes of Chris and Stu and even Humie, who was in there as well. Like just stuff that other provinces might do different to us, and stuff that maybe I could bring into how we defend here. And then just in attack, just being kind of involved in every phase, not trying to wait for the ball to come to you. Go looking for work, try get on the ball as much as you can, and be as loud and vocal as you can to the forwards, directing them, and just being really confident on the pitch and confident in your own ability. So just little things like that. But just like the speed that things happen and the intensity and stuff was probably the biggest change that I've seen from before.
Thanks, Tom. Best of luck this weekend.
Cheers, now.
Hey Tom, can I just to go back to the 50-22, if there's more people in the backfield, are you seeing more space in the front line, or like that's what it was hoped that it would achieve? But when you're looking up, are you actually seeing that materialize, or are defenses clever enough to cover up the space both ways?
The defenses are clever. Like they often show you the picture that the backfield is full, and then as the 10 gets the ball, the winger will come up. You know, that kind of a thing. Like I know teams are all going to be working on that, trying to trick the 10s to think that the space isn't there, and then they'll cover the front line. But I suppose like a lot of teams did play that way with two in the backfield anyway, off phase. So it's pretty similar, to be honest. But I don't know, just the reward if you can get that kick is so big. It's definitely gonna make teams look for it more. So yeah, like probably. I mean, I know I'm only two games in with that new rule, and I probably haven't noticed that much difference in the spacings. But I don't know. Maybe as we play more games, more opportunities might arise, and you might notice it then.
Just there's a kind of a narrative around Connacht this season that, you know, the restructure has made life more difficult because you play the Irish provinces more than everyone else, you know, than your rivals who are going for European places. Bernard Jackman was writing at the weekend about how difficult it is in terms of travel, you know, resources, all that sort of stuff. How important is it that you keep that outside the squad, that you guys don't feel sorry for yourselves in any way? Because if you did, it might just negatively impact the mentality ahead of a big season like this.
Yeah, well, definitely. Yeah, well, I didn't see the article or hear about it, but and I haven't heard anyone talk about it, so I'm sure it is out of the environment. But listen, like it's what we've been doing for the last since I've been here anyway. The travel has always been that little bit extra. There's no airport in Galway. It's just the way it is. It is that little bit harder, but I think it's what we're used to here. We don't know, like we haven't had it any different, so we're used to stuff like that. So and it's no excuse anyway. The travel and stuff like that. So as I said, yeah, we're used to it. We don't know any different, so we're happy enough with how things are going.
And just finally for me, how big a marker is this in terms of your mental resolve, in terms of how you're going to play this season, taking on the Bulls on the back of a defeat, first home game of the season, and this the best of the South African teams coming to town. This is, I know they're all going to be big games. It's not an easy league, but this is pretty important one.
Yeah, no, listen, it's a massive game, especially coming off the back of a defeat on the weekend, and first game in front of the fans, and first home game of the year. We need to set down a marker, especially with all the talk of our new fast game and all this. We really want to put that on show this weekend, and I'm sure we will. So yeah, as you said, it's a massive game, massive opportunity to make a statement against a massive South African team full of Springboks. So we're looking forward to it here, and yeah, as I said, big game, but we're gonna ready to front up to it.
Okay.
Cheers.